Hey everybody, today I'm going to be focusing on how to paint another seraphon painting tutorial. For this, we're going to do a cold one from the seraphon. Now the cold ones are basically cavalry, like for certain seraphon units, like this Saurus Knight right here. See? It's a guard, and it's a cavalry model. So for this, we're going to start off. For this, we're going to be painting on the skin, claws, teeth, and not the eyes because I already have them painted, and the claws as well. So, you may notice I base coated him with Caliban green off camera, but for the underside, I also did rock-hard flesh. You're wondering why? It's because rock-hard flesh is actually their underbelly tone. So, without further ado, let's get started. Now, with the Caliban green almost dry, I am basically going to start dry brushing. So, you may be wondering, what is dry brushing? Well, it's basically what I explained before. Basically, you take most of the paint off on your brush and you just wipe most of it off. So, for this, we're going to go back to the base coat of the underbelly, rock-hard flesh. So, for this, take some under rock-hard flesh. So, for this, I'm going to grab a little bit of paint, a little bit of rock-hard flesh on my paint brush. This is a makeup brush because I prefer them now. So, watch this. So, you wipe off most of the paint and just drag it like that. Okay, so, what we're going to do is we're going to start dry brushing. So, for this, right here. So, for right here, you were looking for the transition between the body and the green skin. See right here? And for the tail, it's very simple. All you just got to do, if it's not blended properly, just make sure you blend it. So for right here on the neck, same thing. Now, the reason why we're dry brushing is it makes the blend. It makes the blend a little more natural. Alright, but the underbelly color is base coated. That's pretty much it for that part. We're gonna come back to that in just a second. Now with our Caliban green dry, we're gonna start something else. Let me just wash off my brush real quick. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're basically gonna shade in the green parts. So for this, we're only gonna be focusing on a couple of parts. For this, we're going to be focusing on the skin first. So for the skin, we're going to use a Athonian camo shade. You may be wondering, why am I not using Biltan green? Well, you can use Biltan green, but it's also to help differentiate between the skin and the actual scales. So for this, all we're going to do is something different. So for this, since it's kind of a smaller area, kind of a bigger area, we're going to use a medium shade brush by Citadel. So what we're going to do, take some Athonian camo shade. We're not going to put this on the palette because I don't need much, just a little bit. So for the Athonian camo shade, what we're going to do is only apply on the skin. And as you can see, it's getting us that nice little drab-like tone that we're looking for. Okay, so let's move on to the other side. For this, we're going to focus on the other parts of the legs like here, like right here. Sorry about that. And then on the arm right here. So we're only focusing on the skin, but not the real scales. Why? Because we want the scales to have a slightly different color. Alright, there we go. Alright, now I'm going to wash off my brush in just a second. I'm just making sure I dry off my brush really good. Alright, now we're going to go to our next green shade, Biltan green. So, you're wondering, what's the Biltan green for? Well, it's for the scales. So, for this, we're going to take our washes. Alright, so, continuing on, you're going to take the Biltan green, and don't go over the skin. We're only going to go over the scales. See, like right here, we're only going to go over the scales. So right here on the tail, right here on the legs, also some bits on the arms right here about the shoulders. And for the little record flesh underneath the chin, just paint that over a little bit. Alright, there we go. That's the scale shaded for right now. Alright, so now, while we're waiting for that to dry, we're going to shade in the flesh part, the underbelly. So for this, I'm just going to wash off my brush again. And dry it off. Also, let me make sure I pull off my paintbrush off, okay? What did I put? Oh, okay. So, next, what we're basically going to do is we're going to start shading in the fleshy parts on the area. Let me just get the proper paint. So, for this, we're going to use Reikland Flesh Shade. So for this, we are going to use Reikland Flesh Shade. We're going to thin it down a little bit with some water, because Reikland Flesh is a pale tone. So, take some Reikland Flesh Shade, put it on our palette. And now we're going to thin this down a lot, almost to the point of a glaze. So, what we're going to do, right here. See, the reason why we turn it to a glaze is so it doesn't overpower the pale tone that we're looking for. See? And just focus on the other parts of the underbelly, like right here underneath the saddle, and also right here on the tail. Oh, and also the back of our flesh right here on the neck. Okay. That's that area shaded. Alright, so now we're going to focus on the teeth and claws for a second. So, for this, we're going to use a darker tone. For this, we're going to use Xandri Dust. So, you're going to put your paint. So, I'm going to use a 5-0 brush. So, just make sure you find a small. You can use a small layer brush, or if you want if you're using Citadel. So, right here, take some Xandri Dust. And then we're going to thin it down a little bit with some water. So what we're going to do is going to start base coating. So right here, we're going to base coat the claws, like so, with Xandri Dust. Also on the finger claws, and also the teeth. But for this, we're going to leave off the teeth for right now, so because it's going to get painted later on. Just base coat all the claws and base all the claws with Xandri Dust. And then also they do have claws right here on their back of their legs and their heels. So make sure you paint those in as well. Alright, that's the claws base coat. So, we're going to let the claws dry for a second because we're going to start highlighting the skin. For the skin, basically we're going to start off with the scales first. So, for this we're going to do a lighter red green. For this we're going to use Auroch Flesh. So, here, check out your paints like usual. So, I'm going to take my makeup brush again, and so we're just going to do this. Now you may be wondering, why am I using a makeup brush? Is because I prefer them more than regular dry brushes because these are really perfect for light applications. It's similar to the Army Painter Masterclass set. So for this, take some Auroch Flesh, and then just do the dry brushing again. See for right here. Just make sure, just a little more. And you want this color to be subtle. So for like this, what we're going to do, press lightly. So for this, watch this. We're going to go up and down right here across the scales and also the skin. So if you're noting, it's highlighting it, but it's also very subtle, which is exactly what we want. So the scales, the green skin, and also the scales right here on the neck and also on the face. Highlight everywhere on the face. See, as you can see, it's very subtle, but that's exactly what you want. That's the point of dry brushing. All right, that's the scales and skin highlighted. So that's the part done. So now we're gonna paint this the other things. So for this, let me just wash off my makeup brush one more time. All right, now that our makeup brush is dry, so now we're gonna move on to another one. So for this, we're gonna do another dry brush, flayed one flesh. So you may be wondering, what's the flayed one flesh for? It's for the underbelly, and it's for the underbelly. So for this, take some we're gonna take some flayed one flesh. So for this, let me just grab some out of the pot. And if you get too much like this, just dry off the excess. So for right here, dry brush it off. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to start dry brushing. So right here. And for the underbelly right here, I'm going to hold it upside down so you can see it. So right here. All right, there we go. That's the underbelly done. All right, with the scales and the underbelly now done, and the skin, so now we're going to focus on a different detail, which is the claws. So for this, let me just rinse off my brush real quick. And sorry if I sound a little strange. I am a little stuffy today. All right, so now with the claws base coated, now we're going to shade them. For this, we're going to use Reikland Flesh Shade again. So you may be wondering why you're using Reikland Flesh Shade is because with the warmth or the Reikland Flesh Shade on the Xandri dust actually makes it perfect for the claws. Okay, so let me just dry off my hands real quick. So for this, we're going to take our medium shade brush again. So for this, we're going to take some Reikland Flesh Shade and put it on our palette. So for right here, we're going to focus right here. So right here. See? It's actually shading it nice, and it also has like nice warmth that goes cohesive with this miniature. For the claws as well. All right, and that's the claws done. That's the claws shaded. Now, even though the claws are still wet, the flat parts are actually dry by now. So now we're going to first highlight it back up. Now, normally I would recommend Carrick Stone, but since I don't have any Carrick Stone, I'm going to make a mix. So before we do that, let me just dry off my brush real quick. So for this, we're going to take a mix. For this, we're going to use Celestia Gray. Why we're not using white is so that the gray actually has like a little cooler tone to it. Then mix the Xandri dust. And always make sure to rinse off your brushes when you're doing paints after you get in the first color. See, it's a little lighter, which is perfect. So for this, we're going to start highlighting the claws. Oh, and also make sure to thin down your mixes. A little bit of water. There we go. Perfect. I'm just painting the claws right here. And so we're going to move focus on the teeth. If you get anything like I just did, just wipe it off. See? There you go. Perfect. Alright, there we go. That's how you can paint the skin, teeth, and claws on a cold one. So, I really hope you enjoyed painting this tutorial. So, I really hope you enjoy painting your cold ones for your Seraphon army. And also, remember, Seraphon are not out yet for Age of Sigmar 3rd Edition, but I can't wait for the results and see what they get updated with. I hope you can too. Bye-bye.